So first of all, let's acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and the things that we're going to talk about, and pay our respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. So this is the third workshop in this 12 workshop series around the economics collective body of work. And this one's all about actions and measures. And so the purpose of today is to make sure that we've got a collated list of all the likely things that we want to do in the NRM landscape, so that we've got kind of the full scope of things to try and be able to represent in a modelling sense, so that the underlying modelling architecture is flexible enough to deal with that. So I'm going to give, there's a few who haven't been involved in the previous workshop, so a reasonably quick background if I can. So collectively, the Eco-nomics platform, there are 4 parts to it. There's Eco-nomics Plan, which is a lumped subcatchment level investment prioritisation application. There's Eco-nomics Project, so this is down at a farm or project scale modelling application. There will be reporting functionality around that for impact reporting, communicating the outcomes from these projects, and then ultimately support for other market instruments. And the diagrams or images we've got there represent where we've done these things in the reef world. First thing that we're going to work on is the Eco-nomics Plan. And Eco-nomics Plan, so this is subcatchment level lump modelling. It's about rapid investment portfolio generation. It's targeted towards investors, and the users are investors, NRM bodies, local government authorities. So those kind of high level kind of coordinators of project investment. And we want to have a consistent approach across large spatial scales. And we're basing this essentially on what we've done in the reef space and an application there called Reef-o-nomics. And we're including both quantitative and qualitative measures in these things. We covered this in an earlier session, but it's about generating these portfolios of cost-effective subsets of 150 different actions. Well, that's about how many we've got so far, and be able to come up with portfolios based on prioritizing those things. So you see on the right-hand side there, so different ways to prioritize and weight the different things that might matter. So let's just quickly step through this slide. It's about what's new about the Eco-nomics Plan level things, but the primary thing is about having multiple values. So not just a water quality story. This kind of extends more from, it takes it beyond the reef work. So having biodiversity, First Nations, social, economic, climate, and climate change. And let's not worry about those other things for today's discussion. And then the second part of our work is Eco-nomics Project, and both Eco-nomics Plan and Eco-nomics Project matter in today's discussion because they both deal with the collective actions. So Eco-nomics Project, it's a farm scale modelling application, and effectively trying to generate the kind of functionality we've got in an application called P2R Projector that works in the reef space. And in this case, we can be as specific and locally relevant as need be, and to represent that farm or project scale modelling. So firstly, we're going to build out Eco-nomics Plan and then Eco-nomics Project, but collectively the actions we want to be able to represent in both of these things. So from an Eco-nomics Plan perspective, those actions affect the measures that we care about, and the way that they affect them are going to be pretty simple, computationally simple, so it'll work rapidly. In the Eco-nomics Project, they're going to be complicated and locally calibrated and hopefully more accurate. So today we're going to talk about these things, collective actions, and also collectively the measures that, if there's consistency across the measures that we care about. So think about an action and then the measures that it might impact upon. In the upcoming workshops, we'll talk about what the computational approach will be. Today, it's really about making sure we've got this list right and this list right. So, and the way that this collectively works, if you like, we think about all the measures we might have for any particular action. It can have an impact on multiple measures. All right. And what I've got represented here in the dark are what I'm thinking are going to be quantitative predictions, and the ones in the grey or qualitative predictions. But we'll talk about that on Monday's session. So, in terms of, and we can think about this in two directions, I guess. We can think about what are all the actions, the things that we do, and what are all the measures, or what are the values? You know, we can think about the values and work back to work out the actions, or the actions will work the other way. And I think we'll come at it from both directions in today's discussions. So here's where I've currently got to in terms of thinking about, from my experience dealing with NRM, I come up with these broad representation of values. So water quality, biodiversity, First Nations, social, economic, and climate change. And there are different ways to slice and dice these things. So the representative measures that we often use to describe those values or capture them. And we'll come back to this slide. And then collectively for our actions, this is my rough representation of how they might get grouped up. There's riparian vegetation related work, riparian structures, gully work, grains, practice change, horticulture, or effectively all other crops and practice change, grazing and practice change around grazing, stream bank and specifically grazing related grazing pressure related stream bank management, broadly rehydration projects, and we can talk a bit more about what they are and what we mean by that. But it's kind of this notion of kind of naturalizing the landscape. We've got intensive agriculture type work, so working with feedlots to reduce runoff and nutrient input from those, terrestrial vegetation work, and avoided destruction, so preservation of high quality environmental assets. Kind of my broad groups, and we'd split those out and we end up with about 150 different individual actions. And I've compiled those in a spreadsheet, and I'll just about to email that spreadsheet to you. And so once we finish this initial presentation, we'll go back and pull that spreadsheet apart a bit and see if I've got everything captured. So to wind up that sort of introductory presentation, so that's the end of actions and measures and values presentation. And I'll stick this video at economics.net.au/videos, as with all the others for other sessions as well. So if you're interested in previous ones or future sessions, I'll stick all those on that site. Okay.